Apologize for the slow start here this morning. I was in the dentist chair this morning, and it was my first routine cleaning since the start of COVID. Now, prior to this, you would go in, and I don't know about your dentist, but my dentist always billed himself as the painless dentist, and he had all the new technology. And so when you went in to get your teeth cleaned, he used that sonic method. And so, he you never got scraped. It was all this sonic and sand, and then he polished your teeth. Well, they had determined that is no longer a safe practice, and so he had gone back to the practice that they used in the 1800s of literally taking a knife and scraping the tartar off of your teeth. And it's like, oh my God, this is brutal. So anyway, I am glad to be here. I'd rather be here than at the dentist. And so we're going to jump into the COVID numbers and take a look at where we are. And we'll step over to the screen to do that. Okay, so this is taking a look at what's happening in the state of Florida. And you can see our total cases of positives. This goes all the way back from the start. We're getting close to 1 million cases here in Florida. And we've had nearly 18,000 Florida residents pass away from COVID. One of the numbers that we're beginning to pay attention to is the number of hospitalizations. 53,000 residents in Florida have been hospitalized because of COVID. You've probably been reading that across the nation, this is becoming a problem because our hospitalizations are having a run, and it's taxing the resources that we need to fight COVID. Here in Florida, we're in pretty good shape. Our hospitalization rate here in Florida is right about 30%. So we are not anywhere near capacity, and that's good. So that's something we'll continue to track and monitor, and just continue to look at it as it develops. Here's a couple of good pieces of news. If you look up here on the right-hand side, the upper chart, the yellow bar graph, you can see that over the course of the last 5, 6, 7 days, we've seen a downward trend in the number of new COVID cases. That's supported in the county as well, which we'll take a look at in just a second. Don, if we can flip over to Florida testing, the next tab over. So here's the testing yesterday. You may have noticed a change. It's a subtle change, but they are no longer looking at the day-over-day difference in testing. They are just looking at the daily number of tests. So yesterday we tested 4,100 people, and our positivity rate was 5.95%. If you look at the chart in red on the bottom of the screen, you can see back on 10/24, 10/25, it started to spike. It rose for a period of about a week. And then you can see that there's been a gradual decline over the last 14 days. And so we've hit that curve, and we're beginning a downward trend. And you can see that in the positivity rate. Don, if you go and put the cursor over this 1031 mark right here. So go down just a little bit on that red dot right there. So go on the green dot. Move over to the left. Hover until it shows the positivity rate. Go over to 1118, see if it'll show the positivity rate there. So here's the Florida map. The two things that you'll notice is every week we continue to see a little bit more blue and a little less red, and so the state of Florida is continuing to clear. And the indicators are that although there are still some deep red zones throughout the state, mostly in the high population areas, we are beginning to see some clearing. And there's actually just a tiny little bit of blue at the bottom of the T in Tampa. That's Feather Sound. Our closest zip code post office is Clearwater or Safety Harbor. We're still red in both of those zip codes. Let's go to health metrics. Okay, here are the four that we track every single week. The one in the upper left-hand corner in brown, those are the number of individuals who show up at the hospital with flu-like symptoms. And you can see since the start of November, that is beginning to peak. We are entering flu season. We anticipate that that number is going to continue to climb. In the purple down below it, that's the number of people who show up at hospital with COVID-like illness, and you can see the spike and then the corresponding decline. So hopefully we've broken that curve. And then documented new cases in the yellow up on the right-hand side. You can see that that has steadily been increasing, but look at the positivity rate in red down below. And so the number of people who are showing positive as a percentage of testing is declining. So we're seeing an increase in testing and a decrease in the number of individuals who are testing positive as it relates to the total number of tests. And then USA and World. You can sort of see that the eastern half of the country is still pretty solid. If you slide over and go down on this a couple of times and shrink this down just a little so we can see the northern border states with Canada. Yeah, just downsize it. Downsize it. Yeah. Yes, sir, right there. All right, that should show us so that's where you can see where all the population centers are that are experiencing COVID issues. All right, seeing that the vaccine is ready for distribution, it's going to start hitting local markets on the 13th of December. We have requested 600 doses for Regency Oaks. That would include our IL, assisted living, skilled nursing, and the majority of our direct care staff. And we have not yet heard the distribution date for us, but I thought it might be interesting to take a look at how the vaccine is going to be dispersed. And they're using a tiered distribution system. In the phase 1, this represents about 5% of the population. It's going to go directly to healthcare workers and first responders. Because we are in we have a skilled nursing home and assisted living attached to our property. There are different categories of that phasing, and we are there's phase 1A, which is the skilled nursing, and then independent living or congregate housing attached to a skilled nursing is a phase 1B, and so we are actually in phase 1B. Phase 2 is people with underlying conditions who are at a higher risk, and they are older adults in densely populated settings. And this is like top of the world or 55 plus communities. That's about 10% of the United States population. Phase 3 is going to be essential service workers at high risk. This is teachers, school staff, homeless shelters, prisons, older adults who have not already been treated, and people with any underlying condition that put them at what's considered moderate risk, and that represents about 30 to 35% of the U.S. population. Phase 4 will be young adults, children, and essential service workers at increased risk of exposure. Young adults and children, the one thing that we know is that yes, they can get COVID, but their symptoms are not as severe, and they recover more quickly because they don't have other risk factors. And then the last phase is going to be all the remaining U.S. population, and that's estimated at somewhere between 5 and 15%. So we anticipate that that is going to happen really quickly. At first, they were talking that the United States Army was going to be the distribution point for the vaccine. But our understanding is that has changed a little bit. It's going to be a local pharmacy. Our specific purveyor is going to be CVS. And there, you probably also have heard that the vaccine has to be maintained at really low temperatures. There are 3 producers of the vaccine, and each one has a little bit different requirement. But all of them have to be kept at very cold temperatures, and they are in the process of providing very low temp refrigerator freezers to the pharmacies that have been designated by the government to be the distribution points for the vaccine. So it's moving forward. This is really pretty exciting news when you think about the ability to develop this vaccine in less than 10 months and get it out to the population. The general population at large, phase 3, the estimate that I have heard is that that probably will not start until late spring, where phase 1 and phase 1A is going to start right in the middle of December. So it's our hope is by early January, all of Regency Oaks will have been able to have gotten their vaccine. So good news on that phase. Okay, just a couple other things that I wanted to briefly talk about, and the first is you may have seen that Life Care Services, our independent living, was rated the highest satisfaction by J.D. Powers across the country. It came in number 1. This is LCS Corporation, and we're pretty excited about that. They studied, this was J.D. Powers called 4,992 residents that reside in LCS communities across the country, and that was the size of their sampling data. Did any of you get a call? Anyone in this room? No? Okay, so we did have residents participate, so I'm still looking for someone that may have participated. But that's our second year running, and something that we're pretty excited about. Don Infante, who is on the National Advisory Board with LCS, recently had a meeting and was able to come back and share a program called EverSafe 360. And we'll be sharing more about that over the coming weeks. But EverSafe 360 is LCS's approach to handling the virus. And, you know, one of the things that Joe Nelson, who is the president and CEO, decided is, you know, LCS has done a pretty remarkable job of containing this virus and being able to keep residents safe and still operate our businesses and provide some essential based services. And yeah, we're not back to where we'd all like to be, where everything is wide open, but we're safe, and we've our numbers have been manageable, and there are some very unique processes and investments in equipment and some procedures that have been put in place to keep people safe. And there are more capital improvements that are coming designed to invest in new technology and equipment that will change the way we think about protecting the community against pandemics and flus going forward. And part of that is an air filtration system that is designed to break up, collect, and disperse the embedded cellular structure of atomized viruses. And so we're going to have a longer presentation and give you some of the scientific facts. I'm going to rely on videos to do that, so you don't have to take it from me. I have a layman's understanding of that process. But it's a good story to tell, because there have been some really great advances made in the industry that are going to be able to keep residents safe as we move forward. I want to talk briefly about Thanksgiving and our specific COVID situation here. So everyone knows last week we had we had 2 residents in our independent living that tested positive for COVID, and they both are doing well. They never developed symptoms, so they were asymptomatic from the start of their disease until to this point, and we hope that they will continue to be asymptomatic over the course of the next 5 to 7 days as they run the disease course and go through that process. But the good news is that today there are no other residents or staff members in any of our buildings, not IL, not assisted living, not skilled nursing, that we are monitoring or that we are suspicious of flu or COVID-like symptoms. And so what that tells us is that our procedures, our early warning technicians, and what we have developed to sound the alarm and give us advance warning, all those protocols are working. And so residents continue to have their temperatures taken, to submit to the screening protocols. They practice safe distance, they wash their hands, they wear their mask, and because of that, we've been able, even upon having a COVID positive resident in our building, we've been able to prevent the spread to other residents. And this hasn't happened once, but it's happened, if you don't know, 10 times now. So there are 10 residents on campus who have contracted COVID, either in the independent living, assisted, or skilled nursing. And in all cases, we've been able to prevent the spread of the disease. It starts with you. And so thank you very much for adhering to the rules, putting up with the nonsense, practicing good social distancing, and being a participating member of our team that is fighting this disease. I'm going to turn it over to Tiffany, and she has a few announcements.
That's working. Tiffany, you want this one?
Yes. Hello. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to give you some updates on the holiday season that we're approaching. The North Building tree decorating will take place this Thursday evening. We do have flyers out, so please feel free to stop by and enjoy putting up the tree that we have in the lobby, as well as the south trees between the front entrance as well as the South Grand Lobby will be Saturday at 2 p.m. Also, we did put a notification out in the elevators that we may have been canceling the musical bingo, but that is still on for today. That's 2 p.m. in Town Hall. There's still spots available. So if you're interested in attending the musical bingo today, please feel free. It is sponsored by Grace Home Health. So I just wanted to let everybody know that it's still going on today. Nothing else has been canceled. So please feel free to always check the whiteboard or contact myself if you have any questions about anything. Thank you.
Okay, and then the one last piece is just to sort of update you on where we are with closings and shutdowns and further restrictions. Our strategy upon the last COVID exposure was to try to create a bubble for 4 or 5 days where we shut down the super spreader events. Those are large events of more than 24 people with a stronger duration, indoor events. And so we shut those down through yesterday. Going forward for Thanksgiving and the weeks that follow, right now our plans are to go back to being fully open. And so we do not anticipate that this is going to have an impact on any of your Thanksgiving, whether you were planning to go up to the dining room or whether you were planning to have family in your apartments to share a Thanksgiving dinner, whether you cooked it or you ordered it from us. We still think that's possible and that you can do so safely. We're going to ask everybody to continue to be safe and to make good choices, but we're not going to have any further restrictions for Thanksgiving. You're welcome to have guests for Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving only. We are going to raise or eliminate the number of guests in our building. Right now, we're allowed 10 guests in either building at any time. We're going to remove that restriction for Thanksgiving. Your guests are allowed in your apartment, but they are not allowed in any common areas or dining areas. They are allowed egress to and from your apartment. They're allowed to use the elevators and the front door. Guests are required to check in at the front door, to submit to screening, to have their temperature taken. If they fail the screening, they would be denied access. We feel we can do this safely. We're looking at the numbers both across Florida, the county, and here at Regency Oaks, and we're comfortable that we can do this without exposing anyone to undue risk. Be particularly cautious if you are including young college-age kids. That is right now the governor's greatest concern is these young kids who are off at college and enjoying a more active social life than you and I might be participating in. They are a higher risk, and so if you have young college kids, grandkids that are going to be joining you, please be extra cautious. And with that, I'm going to open it up for questions, and we have a couple of microphones that we can work. Did that one get up and running?
I don't think it's up and running, Brad, sorry. See if you can do something.
Let me see if I can do anything. Let me.
I remember you did.
I think the mute button is on. Let me take the mute button off. That's what that was.
What is the problem with Channel 732? Every day at the matinee, there either is no sound or the movie starts and then later on the sound comes on, and it's kind of like very annoying. And yesterday the movie played the entire day, the entire movie with no sound.
Any idea?
I was notified of that. Yesterday was the first time I knew about it.
Okay. So Tiffany was made aware of that yesterday and thinks she's corrected it for
Yes.
today.
It's
So,
today.
It's common.
okay. So the good news is the components of Touchdown, our new TV system, are here. And we are in the process of setting up the installation, which should occur in the next 2 weeks. So hopefully we'll be able to eliminate that with an upgrade in equipment. Yes, sir.
Brent, the vaccine you say is going to be available to us, like January maybe?
Well, it's due to ship on the 13th. So I would think that by January, Regency Oaks residents would have it.
Let's say for the purpose of discussion, 70% of our population take the shot. 30 choose not to. Will the 70% be allowed to lift all of their restrictions, and the 30 will have to be required to maintain those restrictions?
That's correct. And so the question is if the vaccine, once it becomes available, if 70% of the residents were to take the vaccine and therefore get immunity, those restrictions for the 70% who took the vaccine would have all the restrictions removed. Those individuals who chose not to take the vaccine would still be subject to a higher level of restrictions.
Will the 70% require to wear some sort of a badge to identify who the 70% are?
Gosh, great question, and I don't know the answer. The question, in case you didn't hear it, or for our TV audience, is will the 70% who take the vaccine be required to wear an identification badge that shows that they are safe? And I don't have the answer to that. We're going to have to address it.
Will the nurses be required to take the vaccine?
Yes, direct care staff is required to take the vaccine, or we will accept their resignation.
Does that mean we won't have to wear our masks?
It means that if you take the vaccine, you will not have to wear your mask unless you are sick. And so if you have the flu, because you live in a communal setting, you ought to wear a mask if you have flu-like symptoms. But if you're not showing any flu-like symptoms, your mask would not be required at that point.
I have two things. First, do you know if the vaccine coming here would be the one where you have to have 2 doses?
So great question, and we don't have the answer. There are 3 vaccines. 2 of them require a double dose, and 1 of them only requires a single dose. The single dose has an effective factor of 90%. The other 2 are 94 and 95%. So there are pros and cons. The double dose has a 5% higher effectiveness. The single dose is 5% less effective, and I'm not sure which one we would receive.
And the other thing, last week, we had our railroad quarterly meeting. The minutes from that meeting are done, and I've posted a copy in both glass cases in the north and the south building for anyone who wants to read them. Also, I would be willing to email them to anyone or even print a hard copy and put in your mailbox if you would like your own individual copy of it. Thank you.
Are we ready to come up and do an announcement?
I have a question.
Oh, okay. All right.
Thank you.
Back to masks and Thanksgiving. Are all our guests who come in here at Thanksgiving expected to wear a mask, even children?
Yes. I
just want to make sure that got communicated.
Yeah, every single person at Regency Oaks, whether you're staff, a guest, a child, a family, a resident, you are expected to wear a mask, and we will gently remind you. I get gentle reminders occasionally and am appreciative of them. And so, yes, if you are here at Regency Oaks, we'd ask that you wear a mask. Do you want to do your announcement now?
Hi.
Need the microphone?
I guess I do.
Here, use this one.
Is there anybody here who was not here in January of 2020? Raise your hands. Okay. And I'm sure at home there'd be a lot of folks probably raising their hands to that. That's the last time we had anything to say to you about recycling. Remember recycling? You know what this is? Somebody tell me what it is. Okay, I can't do that, can I? Okay. I want to put something down. What do we use these for? Takeouts, right? Okay. And what are some of the things we like about them?
You can microwave them.
You can microwave them, absolutely. What else?
Reuse them.
You can reuse them. Exactly right. So this meal, another meal. What are some of the things this isn't good for? Recycling, thank you very much. We can't recycle these guys. And let me explain why it's important. Recycling in a community requires every one of us to do our part. If you don't want to recycle, you don't have to recycle, that's fine. That's what the trash is for. If you do choose to recycle, we need to do it correctly. And these do not belong in recycle, sorry. But thank you for your time.
What about styrofoam?
Styrofoam is garbage, always has been.
Styrofoam?
It was never recyclable. We were able to reuse it when we had our Publix program going.
Yeah.
If we can ever reestablish that program, which is my fondest hope, but it can't go in the recycle as it exists today. Okay? Thank you.
A lot of us are losing paper bags to put things in. Where do we put these things? We don't have any.
Let me order some plastic bags. Those things are $1 million for 12 cents. Yeah, and we can, if you need them, we can find a distribution point for
Just
them.
the paper ones. I don't have anymore. A lot of people don't.
Yeah, I don't have any paper, but I can order some plastic bags. Like grocery bags, right?
No, I think she means that a newspaper goes in, the sleeve, the plastic, that the newspaper.
You mean like the plastic bags you'd get at Publix? No.
Talking about a paper bag to put the junk away.
We never got paper bags.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever done paper bags. Where did you get your paper bags?
Here.
Well, paper bags can be recycled, that's what you're asking.
Yeah. Okay, paper bags, I don't,
We never
yeah.
got
Well, I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Why don't you see me afterwards and we'll take a few minutes to see if I can better understand. Thank you.
Brian, the entry doors here, they've been giving us a lot of trouble because the buttons don't work. And also the door tends to jam. And no staff has worked on it, maintenance has worked on it. It worked last night at bingo, but this morning it's not working again. The outside button, you gotta really whack it to make it work. So it just needs a little attention, a little more attention.
All righty, I got it, thank you. What else?
Are the meetings which were canceled this past week now open again?
Yes. So great decisions,
Right.
aqua size, exercise groups, everything that was canceled is now back on the schedule. That's correct. Great question.
I'm supposed to be getting the one on this coming Wednesday. Did the one from last Wednesday get moved up or what?
That's a Tiffany question. Did last Wednesday's presentation get moved up or canceled?
For great courses?
Great courses? You were the
Great.
presenter for Great Decision?
Great courses was scheduled last
Yes.
week and it's canceled.
So
Yes.
which one is,
So what he's asking is that will we use the same presentation from last week? But the thing is, it's two separate things. We have great courses and then great decisions. So you're asking, will great courses repeat that presentation next week?
Great decision.
Yes,
Great decision.
great decisions. We canceled great courses though, and great decisions. So you're asking, will great decisions repeat that presentation next week? Is that what you're asking?
because he's the
The one
presenter.
that was
I want to know
canceled
if
is
I'm
moving.
scheduled to do it on, October, December 2nd?
Mm-hmm.
Am I still scheduled, or has that been moved?
No,
because the one
I don't think it's been moved on my end, but I can check with Nelson. Okay.
Oh, he's in Colorado.
Yes, that's,
We have this number.
Yes.
Any update on the fifth floor laundry?
I don't know anything about the fifth floor laundry. Tell me about the fifth floor laundry.
Well,
What building?
South.
South building.
the laundry room, this is probably the third week we're going into with water on the floor,
It
and
flooded.
they've closed it now.
In the hurricane, it flooded.
Ah,
Roof leak, according to
okay.
Darwin.
What'd you say?
So roof leak evidently over in the south building. And so the roofers were here yesterday. I don't know if they were working on that specific area. I'll try to find out.
Yeah, it's still closed, I was just
Okay.
curious.
And Lauren, we'll find out and put it in the notes for Tuesday talk so that we can get you an answer today. Thank you for your question. All right. One more.
Open the jacuzzi. When are you gonna open the jacuzzi?
Yeah.
After you get your shot.
Soon. We are, you know, in all honesty, I think we're still a couple of weeks away from asking for the next round of restrictions to be lifted. The jacuzzi is one of the things we'll be asking for. We also will be asking for less restrictions in the tavern and trying to expand in that area. But we are still a couple of weeks away, I think.
Coming up, Judy.
Does that mean that we might be able to get lunch in the tavern?
Yeah, so, you know, here's the deal. You remember that there's a form that we fill out and submit. It has 11 different areas. Right now, we're failing in 7 of the 11. And so no one's going to give us permission to move forward. It's mostly because of what's happening in the county and the state. It's not what's happening here at Regency Oaks. But until we get a higher percentage, maybe 9, 10 of the 11, people just won't consider removing additional restrictions. So the sooner we get there, the more availability we'll have to ask for improvement in the lifting of restrictions. It's a slow process, but it's cautious and it's working. All right, well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming out.